Let's talk about what we should do on our study breaks to maximize our studying and our well-being. So are there things we can do for our study breaks that actually help us out when we go back to study later, or maybe just help our mind be in a better place for when we go and study later? Well, I did the research, and yes, there are better activities to do during your study break as opposed to other activities. So in this video, I'm going to give you 8 things to do during your study breaks from worst to best. Before we get into the individual tips, I just want to reiterate the importance of actually sticking to your study break timing. Suppose you set a specific amount of time that you want to study and a specific amount of time that you want to take a break. If you mess up that time, so for example, if you take a break that goes too long or you start doing break-like activities during your study time, it defeats the whole purpose of the study break format. It creates an awful procrastination conditioning feedback loop that eliminates the benefits from the entire study break method. Jeez,
are you not studying?
Hey, I'm gonna study. Gee, calm it down. God's sake, man. Just let me, I just want to write something. It's studying.
What are you telling me you do not know to study?
Huh? Sorry, he's a little testy today. Okay, things we can do during our break, and remember we're going from worst to best. Number 8, I have watch YouTube videos. YouTube videos are actually often perfectly timed for breaks. However, they are ranked worst in my list of things to do during your breaks because you're looking at a screen again, you're not really moving. They're just not a great thing to do during a study break. Also, if the YouTube video you're watching is longer than the allotted time you're given for your study break, then you might break the cycle of study break in the exact timing. And again, that is the cardinal sin. That is the thing we don't want to do. If you are using this strategy, which I honestly often do, then make sure you at least get up from wherever you're studying. So I study in that desk over there, move to a different position and kind of watch the YouTube video on a separate device. So I will never watch a YouTube video for like kind of relaxing on that computer. I'll usually go to my couch or lay on the floor over there and kind of watch it on my phone or iPad. And seriously, comply with the break time. If you have a 5-minute break and it's a 10-minute video, maybe you watch 5 minutes now, you study again, and then you watch the second 5 minutes when you're done with your next study session. And watching a YouTube video isn't a lousy option entirely because it does switch your brain off from kind of the focused study mode to kind of a more relaxed mode. I would make sure you watch a video that's kind of relaxing and chill as opposed to a video that's gonna make you think really hard. Bottom line, change positions, change devices, and watch a fun YouTube video. So option number 7, we were just on number 8, remember we're going worst to best, is have a short nap. Naps actually have been proven to improve cognitive performance. Specifically, according to the paper I read, 5 to 15 minutes is this perfect zone for taking a nap. Once you get past 30 minutes, however, you enter this kind of sleep cycle, shifting into a deeper phase of sleep, which when you come out of it actually hinders your performance. This is one of the reasons I've ranked napping so low, because it is so dangerous and so easy to go past this 5, 10, 15 minute mark and go 30 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes, and this will ruin your performance afterwards. More importantly, is this can mess up your sleep-wake cycle, which I really don't like to mess up if you sleep beyond kind of 10, 15 minutes. If you use this strategy, make sure to only sleep for about 5 to 10 minutes, set that on the timer and stick to it. When you're done taking your nap, get up and go back and sit down in the place where you're gonna study. So bottom line, take a 5 to 10 minute nap. Option number 6 is to clean up. A clean workspace can improve focus and improve performance. One study looked at 13 medical students and surgery residents and had them perform laparoscopic surgery via a virtual reality trainer. Some of the students or residents performing the surgery had a distraction while others did not. Not surprisingly, the distracted surgeons took 30 to 40% longer to perform the surgery. Another study had people drive in a simulator and added visual distractions to certain participants. Distracted drivers had significantly worse performance performing driving maneuvers than the non-distracted drivers. So fewer distractions may mean improved performance. So clean up that workspace. So cleaning up your workspace during this break, first of all, offers the benefit of improving your studying later. Second of all, it's kind of nice to just get up and do something else. And when I'm cleaning up, I try to just clean up. I know this sounds silly, but I don't listen to music or a podcast. For example, if I'm doing the dishes, I kind of try and focus on the feeling of the hot water going over my hands, the feeling of my weight of the feet on the ground, and like the smell of the weird like lemony dish soap that I use. Again, this sounds silly, but I think it is beneficial. When you actually remove yourself from the study and just get in the zone afternoon of doing something that really requires no mental effort whatsoever, I think it gives your brain a time to calm down and allows you to come back to studying that much better. Okay, so if you use this break, the most important thing is to clean your work area first, because this may actually benefit your studying later. That means removing old coffee mugs, granola bars, all this kind of junk from the desk. Because, as I mentioned, even though you think these distractions aren't hindering your performance, they really are. So bottom line, if you're taking a cleanup break, clean up your desk and then the rest of your space. Specifically, the things in your eye line while you are studying are the most important things to clean up. Option number 5 is to meditate. So putting your body in a different spot, just focusing on your breath and just sitting there completely still can work wonders. Sometimes during exams, I'll even take one of these mini meditation breaks during the actual exam. I remember a proctor actually poked me because she was worried that I fell asleep during the exam, and sometimes students will look at me funny, but really it helps me a lot to kind of just sit there for 1 minute or 5 minutes and just do nothing and just kind of calm everything down so I can move on, so I can focus on the next parts of the exam. So where's the evidence for this? Well, I'm kind of making a connection here, but people who meditate are less stressed, and people who are more stressed perform worse on exams. In one study, 25 subjects had their brain activity and antibody titers, I know, interesting, right, measured after an 8-week mindfulness meditation training program. So what happened is they had 2 groups of individuals. One went on this meditation training program and the other just kind of lived their normal life. And what they did is, after they went on this training meditation program, both of the groups were vaccinated against the flu, so influenza. And then their blood was taken and titers of antibodies, so titers of kind of your body generating an immune response against this vaccine, were recorded from both groups. And there were significant increases in the antibody amounts in the group that went on the meditation retreat as opposed to the group that didn't go on the meditation retreat. Also, importantly to us, there was significantly increased left-sided anterior brain activity in the people that went on the meditation retreat as opposed to the people that did not go on the meditation retreat. Meditation can do crazy things in a good way. Also, this short form meditation during your breaks is a great way to kind of just dip your toes into the awesome world that is meditation. I've meditated for about 3 years now, and I can say it is one of the few things that really has actually changed my life.
What about me? What are you saying? Oh, what?
Yeah, Freud, you changed my life too. Okay, now go back in the closet. Thank you. So bottom line is, try meditating. Tip number 4, okay, we're getting on to the good stuff now, is to have a good snack to eat during the break. So let's talk about what makes up a good snack. Well, big carbs, big glucose, big sugar, big crash. Bad news. Slow carbs, high protein, low glycemic index, good news. So let's take a look at a little graph I drew here. Sorry for the crappiness of the way it's drawn. And let's look what happens when you eat a high glycemic index food versus when you have a meal with low glycemic index. So you notice where the part where the kind of glucose levels, your blood glucose levels, dips below this line. This is the crash. This is the thing we want to definitely avoid when we have a snack. Also, the high you sometimes get when you eat a bunch of ice cream or like really sugary food is almost too high. It's almost too hard to focus. Ever see kids like darting around after they eat ice cream? That's because their glucose levels are super high. And then shortly after, they will crash. Unfortunately, keeping your glucose levels, your blood glucose levels in control is kind of a tricky thing to do. Beyond that, importantly, we do need glucose in our blood. We need it for metabolic activity. And guess what the most medically active part of your body is? Your brain. Your brain accounts for 20% of your total oxygen metabolism. So please, for your brain's sake, have some snackage. Have you ever tried to study on a day like when you're fasting before you're gonna, I don't know, get your blood taken, or for some reason you're fasting for some religious reason? It's really hard to study on that day. We need that energy from food to generate ATP to build new neuronal connections, which a lot of people believe is what memories and learning actually is. But recently I've been like really just, I like this kind of sucky water bottle. I know it sounds really weird, but you just kind of like suck it. Maybe I have an oral fixation or something weird.
Ah, you like it? You drink water bottle. I know. I see it. I see you like it. The water. This is oral fixation. Classic. Classic.
You know, you're conditioning me to hate you. Now, I'm scared to say this, but tip number 3 is change position. Because when you change position, you're using classical conditioning, which is you. Where did you get? Is that a picture of? Who is that?
What is this picture of my mother?
It's your mom? You just carry that around with you?
I love her.
You know that's weird, right? Like weird.
Oh, it is not weird. You are weird.
Okay.
Stupid.
Okay, can you just take a break for this section? Please, you can come back in the final tip. I promise you can come back in the final tip, okay? Sorry. So, using things to make yourself think in a certain way I will always do certain things in a certain place. I'll always study at my desk. I'll always do YouTube work at a seat kind of in the room over there. I'll always sleep in my bed, and I'll always relax on the couch. I don't intermingle these things. I only do these certain activities in these certain areas. This is the same reason why sleep experts say you should only sleep in your bed. Because if you only sleep in your bed, over time you're going to associate in your mind your bed with sleep. If you go on like 3-hour Netflix sessions in your bed, then your body may not as closely associate the bed with sleep. So when I take my breaks, for example, I make sure to change positions. So if I'm always studying at that desk over there, I'll go sit on the couch or just sit somewhere else and use a different device to take my break. And then when I come sit back at my work desk, I don't have any of my break activities. Sitting at the work desk means work. Sitting on the couch means break. Bottom line, only study in your study spot, only take your break in your break spot. Okay, number 2, we're getting into the really, really good stuff here. Take a mini exercise break. This was competing in my head for the number 1 best thing or the number 2 best thing, but is really, really good thing to do. So molecules such as IGF-1 are released during exercise that may be responsible for the maintenance of brain cells, and it is also directly related to spatial learning and memory. Another molecule, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, is a major modulator of brain plasticity and is also released more during exercise than non-exercise. Evidence shows that activity, or exercise, in humans and mice increases hippocampal neurogenesis, that part of the brain that's responsible for memory, cell proliferation, and dendritic branching. Exercise is a pretty darn good thing to do for your study break. Also, exercise is proven to reduce stress and anxiety, and study shows that stress and anxiety reduce performance. Now, the great thing about using exercise as one of your study breaks is the duration really doesn't matter. I will often stretch or lay down, or some of my winners are always doing push-ups, doing pull-ups. Think about the amount of push-ups you will accumulate over the day if every time you're on a study break, you just do push-ups the whole time. It's like a great way to work out. And anecdotally, there's something rejuvenating about just exercising and getting your heart moving. And if you want to take this to another level, you go outside and do the exercise. Whenever I have a long day of studying planned, I will always plan an exercise session, preferably outside, smack dab in the middle of this session. Well, why is this? Well, I remember from all those articles and papers that I blurted out earlier that when you exercise, your brain actually gets in the mode to learn more information. That brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, and IGF-1 are making your brain ready to learn information. So when I come back from my exercise session, I'll actually learn better than if I didn't go out and exercise. I remember when I first started medical school, I used to think I have to put every single waking hour into studying. It is medical school, right? I will be treating human beings. However, I quickly found that I was burning out. I wasn't focusing on myself. I was only focusing on the schoolwork. And I also started not studying like I usually do. I started procrastinating and going on my phone while I was in a study session. And in my first couple of tests of med school, I didn't perform as well as I knew I could. I prioritized my well-being, sleep, exercise, and having occasional fun. And guess what? I studied less and I started performing better. This realization, this epiphany, is one of the reasons I started this whole YouTube channel, because I want to share with other students, learners, everyone in the world, really, anyone that will watch this video, that taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, focusing on your well-being is so, so important. And if you still think, I don't really care about that, I just want to do the best I possibly can do on the test, and trust me, I was there. I was in that mindset to do the best I possibly can on the test, no matter what. Your performance will improve when you improve taking care of yourself. I know it sounds silly, but really, really try it out and see your test scores go up. So bottom line, any form of exercise is a top tip for study breaks. Okay, we've made it to the number 1 tip, the thing that I think is the best thing to do during your breaks, and simply it's to go outside. This is backed by evidence, and anecdotally, it's the best for me. A couple papers show that nature improves human cognitive function and mental health. With the rapid pace of cities getting bigger and more everywhere, it seems globally, and even are in my immediate environment, that people are just having less contact with nature, less contact with green space. And the evidence is clear. To a certain point, more time in green space is better than less time in green space, specifically for mental health. Who do you think is going to study better and perform better on exams? Someone who has good mental health or someone who has bad mental health? In 2019, Nature released an article that took, not Nature as in out there, I mean the journal Nature. So I had an article that took nearly 20,000 adults and examined their time in nature. They weren't living in the journal. Okay, I'm done with this joke. They found at least 100 120 minutes of outside a week was linked with significantly greater reports of good health and high well-being, with peak associations being between 200 and 300 minutes per week. So if you're studying 9 hours a day, theoretically, if you use the 25-5 Pomodoro method, you'll have about 140 minutes of break time. So you could hit that week 120 minute mark in one day. But it's kind of hard because you have to leave your apartment and walk outside, find green space, and come back. So usually what I'll do is I'll save up kind of one of my big breaks, so one of my 20-minute breaks, and use that as kind of outside time. And again, when I'm doing this outside time, I go find the greenest place I can find, and I avoid using my phone. I avoid kind of listening to music or the radio. I just kind of focus on walking outside. So bottom line, for my number one thing to do during breaks is go outside, be in nature, chill out, and then come back to study better than ever. Okay, but those are all of my tips. Those are all the things that I think you should do during your breaks. And of course, this isn't the end all be all. There's so many tons of other things you could do during your breaks. These are just the things that I found most backed by evidence and most actually supported by me doing those things. So really, like any outside, any exercise, anything with no screens is usually a good break. So just to put out an example day, so for example, this is kind of something I did the other day. I had 25-minute study, and then I felt like I still wanted to study. I was still in the zone, so I studied for another 25 minutes, but then I accumulated 10 minutes of break time. So I used that 10 minutes to clean my apartment, and then I did 25 minutes of studying. Then in the next 5-minute break, I had a snack, which was an apple and some tea. Then I studied for 25 minutes again, and then I had my big 20-minute break, right? Because once you do 4 study, 25 minutes, you get the 20-minute break. And I went for a nice walk outside, and then I had my 25 minutes of studying, and I did push-ups for 5 minutes, 25 minutes of studies. I think I did push-ups and pull-ups for 5 minutes after that. Then I had 25 minutes of study, another snack while looking out the window, 25 minutes of study, and then I did a 10-minute like yoga stretch and 10 minutes of meditation, and that was just for that section. But the most important thing is to stick to the study breaks that work for you. Sticking to the study break timing is the most important, and hopefully some of these breaks you got an idea, or you figured out, oh, you know, maybe I can actually go for a walk outside, or maybe I'll start to do like push-ups during my breaks. Those are all good things that will benefit your studying. But if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.
I'm watching you. You know, I watch, I stay here. You think I do not pay attention, but me and my friend Pavlov, we have things, we talk, you know. What are you doing over there, huh? Are you not studying? You read? I beat you.